Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, your significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, this show is for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create a life you love or love the life you create. Now, here's your host, Dr. April, and co-host, Coach K.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Welcome, Coach K. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Yes. So we're back in for another week. And today, you know what our topic is about?
I'm going to let you give it to the people because I'm excited. What is it?
Yes, it's something that we just really do enjoy talking about and working with people about. It's Kinking it up a notch. What do you think that's going to be about, Coach K?
Oh, I think that's going to be an educational experience into adding levels of love and intimacy that we don't always think about.
Right. Yeah. And you know, so many times when we use the word kink, people are like, oh my God, that is out of the world. But do you know that it's mostly common for a lot of people to do a lot of things that people think are just kinky?
Yeah. And you know, some people are already at that stage, but because it's normal to them, they don't even think about it. It's the word that catches you versus your actions.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And if anyone's out there and they're listening and they're like, oh my gosh, my relationship is getting so boring in the bedroom, this is the episode to listen to. Or even if you yourself is out there and you're struggling with your sexuality and you have no idea what you want to do, this is also a good show for you to listen to. Yes.
Definitely a great show to add to your playlist.
Exactly. So before we go into the show, just to remind everybody that BIB, Bringing Intimacy Back, is a nonprofit organization. And if you I really like to see what Coach K and Dr. April talk about, go onto our site. You can donate, but you can also listen to things and you can also rate us. So think about definitely rating us to promote it. And so in the last part of March, what we've been doing every time in March is we've been highlighting a different nonprofit. And even though we're talking about kink, which is very exciting and stuff, kink and everything that we deal with our body and our mind also is about keeping the physical health. So for this month, we've been talking about Premier Mobile Health. They're an organization that does premier mobile health services in Lee County, and with the aids and donations, they have helped out approximately 6,000 patients with 10,000 visits. So think about helping out with Premier Mobile Health. Now let's get back into this topic of kink, of identifying our sexuality and even exploring it, which is wonderful.
Yeah, exploration is always a great thing. Without exploration, then we can't really move forward in anything.
Right. And many people, and I say it all the time, especially when it comes to females, they don't know how to explore themselves, or they think, oh my gosh, I cannot explore my body. Or they expect their partners to know about their body sexually.
Right. And how can you expect someone else to know anything when you really don't know yourself?
Yes, definitely. Yes. So we have a wonderful guest coming up. Her name is Jacqueline Greely, and we are going to introduce her. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about kink it up with a notch.
Are you a business professional? Dr. April Brown's latest book is for you. Whether you are newly hired or managing a team of employees, her 30 intimacy-driven business principles will help you progress towards career success. Learn how to show up as your best self at work, what it means to cultivate a meaningful career, and how to avoid burnout, all while living up to your highest professional potential. Improving Intimacy, the book for business professionals, is available on Amazon in Kindle, Audible, and paperback. Search Dr. April Brown on Amazon to view all her books on improving intimacy for yourself, spouse, spirit, and more.
Hi, Jacqueline. This is Dr. April from the Bringing Intimacy Back show. I'm so happy that you're joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Jacqueline.
Yes. Coach K and I are excited. And so our listeners who are out there listening, let me introduce Jacqueline. And you go by Coach Jackie?
Yes.
Yes. So you're an empath, which is wonderful, and a healer whose mission is been created through Mirror Vision Coaching, an LLC, which is used to help women find safe talk space through your retreats, teaching, and coaching. And you also do a lot of womb healing.
Yes.
And yes, you come from a background with a master's in public administration, working with the government for over 10 years. And you've done a lot of trainings in birth work, yoga, and womb health. And you believe that sensuality is about living in the expression of who you are. Yes. And you're also a doula, right? Yes. Yes. So, and this year you became, well, not this year, last year you became a certified clinical sexuality coach, the master sex expert. Yes.
Yes, I did.
Awesome. So one of the things that we ask all our guests is, how would you define intimacy?
I would define intimacy, or I do define intimacy as connection, communication, living really in the expression of who we are. Because when you're being intimate, or when you're in an intimate relationship with someone, you're being vulnerable. You are trusting that you are in a safe space where you can be authentically who you are. So to me, being intimate with someone or living in intimacy is really, again, about connection, communication, and living truthfully.
Yeah, that's a beautiful definition. Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that you put in that definition and through your website and everything is this word safe. And we're talking about kink.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Can you tell me how those two words are related, or the connection, or? Yes.
Absolutely. So usually when we see, as you spoke about earlier, when we hear the word kink, we think extreme.
Right.
We see our first thing that comes to mind is what we see on movies and TV. We see whips and chains and, being very aggressive and rough with someone. But what is not typically shown about kink is that kink is about relationship. Kink is about being able to express yourself in an extremely intimate, vulnerable way, and being free to explore pleasure, explore intimacy, explore just sex. And so kink can be a place where people can work through some bad experiences. It's where they can talk with their partner to say, I love where we are in our life or in our sex life, but I would like to try something a little bit more. I saw this, on TV, or one of my girlfriends mentioned that they like the bottom of their toes or their feet, paddled. I wonder what that feels like. It's a place to explore sensation. It's a place to explore anything really. It gives you a wide range of space to just be. And if you don't like it, you don't have to continue. It may not be for you, and that's okay. Not everything, the saying we like to say is, your kink is not my kink, and vice versa. And so, but you don't have to subscribe to be a certain thing or person in order to experience kink. Kink is in all of us. We all have a little something
Yeah.
that we like to do that we don't want, our family and friends to know, but we all have a little kink in us.
That is true. It's that curiosity gene that we all are born with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so people out there listening, like, I don't know if I have kink in me. How would we define kink to our audience?
Kink is, to me, exploring or being outside of what is considered the norm. Particularly as a Black woman in this space, kink is really seen as something white or other people do, because you have things tied to, slavery or race relations, race play, not feeling safe in places that are majority non Black or other people of color. And so kink for me is being able to say, yes, I don't want just a vanilla experience of sex. I need to my body thrives and responds off of something that turns me on. And it may not look like what is supposed to be the normal type of sex we're quote unquote supposed to have. So, most people think, okay, I like my bottom spanked or hit when I'm having sex. It may not seem like a kink, but spanking and paddling is a kink.
Right.
You're not doing it as a form of punishment, as we typically see spanking done. It's done as, to turn you on. It's an arousal point. So it doesn't even have to be something with like an implement or even bringing some type of pain to your pleasure. It can be sensation. It can be wearing certain clothes like leather and lace. It can be and wanting to wear that. That's like your signature clothing item. Like you have to have something on you that is sensual with like leather or lace, and it gives you a certain feeling. That can be a kink.
Right.
So that's how you can kind of tell, like, okay, this is a little bit more than what is, normally done.
Yeah. And to even break it down into further layman's terms for the folks that still are like, that's just not me. If you really go by the traditional definition of kink, like a kink in the road, a kink in your neck, it is something that is out of the norm of something else, like a twist in the road. There's a kink in the road. There's a difference in the road. It's just something different.
Yeah.
It's anything beyond missionary almost, So if you've explored outside of missionary, hey, guess what? You may have explored kink.
Right. Right.
And I love how you say that kink is about relationships, and it does require that communication. So, because if you do rips and all that, and there is no communication, that's something else. That's, that can be abusive. But when you have that communication of this I like, this I don't like, harder, softer, whatever, that is what is really can be very central.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think we can have couples feel comfortable to explore their kinky side?
So as we've mentioned, Communication definitely is key, but when I'm working with my clients or just even friends who are like, my man or my girlfriend, my
Right.
woman just won't, they're not, they're uncomfortable doing something outside of what we typically do. So I suggest things such as mutual masturbation.
Mm-hmm.
So show your partner what you like and then incorporate something that's different.
Right.
Um, Send your partner a video of something that you saw that you want to try and say, hey, can we try this? Being honest too with your partner can go a long way. I don't get the same feeling or sensation I once did. Can we try something else to, see if we can get that feeling back? Or I need a little bit more. Not that I want someone else, but I want our experience to be heightened even more. Let's try some candle wax play. Let's do some role playing, like next time we go out to dinner, let's, hit on me, so really communicating with your partner, making it fun. And if your partner is uncomfortable, don't necessarily chastise them or make them feel even worse for not. There may be something behind that person's rationale for not wanting to explore something specific. They may have a trauma behind that, or I've had men tell me I'm really not a fighter, I'm a lover. So anything beyond, anything beyond, the occasional, smack on the butt, they just weren't for it. And
Right.
sometimes you have to respect people where they are, but continue to introduce small ways in which, you can explore and take your intimacy to another level.
Yeah, throughout that, the communication was the key to all of it, and that transparency and honesty that you spoke about
Mhm.
throughout the entire time.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
When people are communicating, I know I sometimes suggest that they communicate about kink and other sexual things outside of the bedroom.
Mhm.
Not during, well, I mean, in the sense of what they like and what they don't like, and they have a serious conversation. So it's not so much pressure that when they're in the bedroom or wherever they are at, where they can just play. But
Mhm.
sometimes people get so pressured into something, making it right, wrong, and really you should just be playing.
Right.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
And sometimes, that's a good point that you made, that kink is not just in the bedroom,
right.
because it is a relationship. Um, Kink can be, when you're out in public, you walk behind me and keep your eyes down. It's communicating without words. So we have our own language that will use eye and hand movements across the room, right? That's
Mhm.
the level of releasing control and allowing your partner to um, move the course of how this intimate act is going to go. So you're right. It doesn't have to just be in the bedroom. It can be out in public and no one has to know,
Right, right, right.
It can be something like wearing, this is going more into like the BDSM side of kink, but it could be wearing a certain article of jewelry that
Mhm.
really only the two of you know about. Um, or wearing a vibrator in your underwear in your panties that your partner is controlling, either right there next to you at the dinner table or they're at work and they're using their phone, they're using
Right.
an app controlled device. um, and so that's part of the exploration and the fun. It's like a form of foreplay too. We're starting out side of the bedroom. I'm not even touching you. We're using words. We're using our senses. And then once we finally get to be together in that space where we can make even more magic happen, it's explosive. It feeds whatever it is that you need it feeding.
Right. It helps with that buildup.
Yeah.
I love the all day play type thing. And what I like to say, with the anticipation without expectation, with the explosive ending.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. I know you do a lot also with work, and I think Coach K also does work with helping females understand their bodies, and even that postpartum, that as you guys are doulas. Yeah. How does that play into all of this?
Actually, I feel like I've gotten a lot more questions in. So I'm mostly a postpartum doula where I'm
Okay.
really concerned and focused on women's sexual wellness after, they've had they've delivered. Because so many from the clients that I've worked with, they are trying to wrap their mind around this new transition, whether it's their first child, 10th child. Each pregnancy is different and each postpartum experience is going to be different. And so I had one particular client who was like, okay, it's been a month or two since the baby was born. My partner and I are going away for the weekend. I don't know. I don't want to have sex. Like, I'm not ready. And so we did a little bit of work around, okay, let's check in with your body. What are you feeling? She wasn't feeling, comfortable. She had really bad eczema and, during the pregnancy, her body just did not feel like hers. So we did some work around, her body, what she was feeling, and ultimately giving her the words to tell her partner, I may not be up to actually having sex this weekend. I'd rather just be in space with you. I'd rather just hold you and re-explore and learn one another. And sometimes there's this pressure, right? After 6 weeks, women are supposed to be ready to go again. For women, they are, but for a lot of women, they aren't. And sex is the last thing from their mind. So it's really, in some ways, teaching them intimacy is more than just sex. Intimacy is just talking or taking a bath or a shower together. It's holding one another. It's sitting up and talking. So really just kind of giving the women that I work with that freedom to say, I'm not ready. I don't know when I'll be ready. I don't want them touching me. To, yes, I'm ready to go. It's been 6 weeks. What can I do to break, to get it back in? So it runs the gamut, but definitely in the work that I do with postpartum mothers is just reminding them that your worth is not tied up in being a mother. You are still the woman that you were, and it may be a different version of you, and you may have to work a little harder to figure out who that is, but who you are never changes. And you're just going to have, this is just a journey in figuring out what feels right now as opposed to before, and you might find that you like it better now than you did before.
Yeah, because definitely, I don't know about you, Coach K, but I know for myself, our bodies change after having a baby, and sometimes what we liked in the beginning got us off. It's a little bit different. So, and I don't know about, because Coach K's had a number of different children. Why they're all the same? Well, anyway, yes,
it's definitely different after each one. From having the first one at 18 to having the last one at 32, after all 5 of them, the postpartum period was totally different. There were sometimes I'm like, afterwards, like, here I am. And then there was other times like, go somewhere that's not near me.
Mhm.
So it's being able to recognize and giving yourself grace and understanding that there was a huge change. And then kink may come out of the postpartum era. So you just never know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if anyone's out there listening and they have a question, please try in about kink and how it can help benefit your relationship. I know
What
you said
question?
yes, what question?
So now I'm thinking about it. Sometimes having sex while pregnant is considered a kink.
Oh, that's true.
It absolutely is. Breastfeeding is it can be a part of kink. Some, as you said, Coach K, there are some people who really only are attracted to you if you are pregnant. And they, prefer to have sex with pregnant women. As I mentioned before, breastfeeding, adult breastfeeding, nursing play is a huge, huge community. Men and women,
Even diapers, people in
adult
diapers.
diapers. I mean,
Yes.
age play, right? That's
Right.
kind of age play, but outside of age play, breastfeeding or nursing, adult nursing, and having sex with pregnant women really is a kink on its own. And some people are not comfortable with that, and that is okay. But it also can bring another level of spice into a couple's relationship, because that woman may be going through a change where she's a completely different person than when she was before she was pregnant. And it may bring out a level of uninhibitedness where she's just like, this is all me, or finding out that, breasts are extremely sensitive during and after pregnancy, and while you may not want to necessarily breastfeed, or after your child has weaned off, you can continue to produce milk and provide that other experience for adults.
Yeah. What question someone does have is, where could they find information about different kinks? Because growing up, our parents didn't talk about it.
Mhm.
So they're like, well, how can I expand things in the bedroom? And I
Absolutely.
know, I know you've given a few already.
So, Google definitely is everyone's friend, because you really can type in whatever you're interested in, and it's going to come up.
Okay. And someone just a caveat they may ask, well, if I Google it, if I'm going to get in trouble about Google.
Right. You will, depending on where you do your searches at, you want to be mindful of that. Please be mindful of that. Some things are not safe for work. But
Yes.
people need to research. It's
Right.
interesting to me sometimes, definitely as a sexuality coach, and just being that person that people come to
Right.
for this type of information. It's very surprising sometimes when people say, I never thought anyone else did this.
Right.
If you thought it, somebody has done it 10 times over. One place that is probably the most known is a place called Fed Life. This is not an advertisement for them, but it is a place that a lot of people tend to go to. And from there, you can find different events that are happening in your town, in your state. If you're traveling somewhere, you can find different events that are happening. There are things called munches. Munches are a lunch and a meeting, and it's a space that is typically in public. No one is really in any fetish wear or anything that is unassuming. And that's where you go and you meet people of like mind in your particular area and, you know, get to know people. A lot of
Right.
times people explore kink with the couple, but most times it's a single person exploring kink and then wanting to find people that are of like mind and feeling safe to do certain things with. We may not be in a romantic relationship, but we
Right.
have this type of relationship that's platonic where we can do these things to one another and go about our day, you know.
Right.
And so from there you can find also different different websites. Again, I talked about we talked about you know, pregnancy kink and breast kink. There's a site, adult breast feeder finder, something of that nature. But it's typically for people who are into adult breast play. And it's like a singles website, right? Or like a, you know, a hookup website. You can find people that you can exchange this experience with, and then you go on about your business. As with anything, you have to be careful about where you're getting your information and then going to certain events. Not everything is safe. Not everyone has good intentions. And so as a person who may be new to kink, uh, it's exciting, it's overwhelming. You want to be a part of everything.
Right.
But knowing people, exploring this avenue with people that you trust, whether it just be one person or a group, like your tribe, a group of people, you want someone to know what you're doing and where you're
Right.
going whenever you're exploring kink and outside of your relationship. Because things can happen. And so once you spend time at these munches or you go to people's events, you can start to vet for yourself to say, okay, these
What
are
is safe?
people, they're safe enough. Do they know what they're talking about? One thing I like to say about kink is that these are some of the most probably informed people about a specific part of play
Right.
because they go to trainings, they learn about their skill. So I'm not going to go to someone who says they're good at throwing whips and they don't know how to throw it properly.
Right.
Here I come out welted up and bleeding when an experienced person throwing a whip will barely leave a mark, you know, and that is what you start to learn as you go places and you talk to people and
Right.
you know, and again, you can do this under discretion, right? People are concerned about that, but you can still go to places and learn things, talk to people. That's really one of the most important ways to become educated and clear about kink. Yes, it can be done in the privacy of your bedroom, but sometimes you might have to reach out in in an educational way, um, because you don't know and your partner may not know. And I'd rather my partner go to this class about blogging as
Right.
opposed to just buying one and
And
using
trying
it
to
and,
use it.
and it's not getting the
Right.
impact that it's supposed to get or hurting me, right?
Right. Right.
If I
Right.
like bloodletting or
Right.
cupping, and again, these are extreme forms of kink, but there are also things that are done in your doctor's office. They just do cupping, which is, you know, suctioned on your skin and it helps with muscle relief. In a different sense, it can be sexual, right? So
Right.
being educated about what it is that you are interested in can go a long way.
Right. And I would even say, even in the sense of that education, when you go see a professional to talk about kink, to make sure that they're a kink therapist, you know,
Yeah.
if they're a certified, you know, clinical sexologist like you guys, or sex coach or master sex expert. Because if you just go and you talk to any therapist, you may feel
They may
a
not
little different.
Right,
Yeah.
they may not have the tools to be able to hold space for you,
Right.
and if you talk to someone who is not educated in kink or BDSM or polyamorous relationships, whatever your, your alternate living, or I don't even like to call it alternative living, but how you choose to live your life may be different from what is considered the norm. Maybe you're not a Christian, maybe you're not, of any particular faith, but if you go to someone who does prescribe to that, you can come out feeling more ashamed and guilty about who you are as a person. So it behooves us to find those professionals who can help us, who can affirm us, but can also help us navigate these different areas in life, because we may not be able to be our kinky selves at work. We may not be able to be our kinky selves out in public, but I shouldn't have to mask myself, right, in order to be accepted. So there's a lot to consider when you choose to either live your kink out loud or do it in the confines of your home. But whether you're looking for mental health support or education, you definitely want to find a place that allows you to be safe, be knowledgeable and educated, and to be affirmed.
Definitely. So if people are out there listening and they want to get to know about your services, tell them how they can
absolutely
contact you.
Thank you. Yes. So my website is www.mirroredvisioncoaching.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook under the same name, Mirrored Vision Coaching. And it's getting warm outside. It is, the weather is getting nice. We're starting to do some events out in public safely, of course, but I create space for women to experience their sensual and sexual selves. So I do have, it's not even announced yet, but
okay, yeah, well, tell us. I'm curious.
I have a sensual tea party at night coming up in June. Coach K, I hope you can come. It will be in Fairfax, Virginia on June 10th. And I wanted a different experience. I wanted to take the typical tea party and elevate it sensually. So more will be coming about that. Tickets will be released soon, but that's the type of energy that I want to bring to women, that they can explore their sensual and sexual selves in a safe environment, in a healing environment, and an empowering environment. I was always that different person, that weird child. So I know how important it is to be available for women who are seeking where they can be their true selves, whether it's coming for education or they find other like women who are into the same things that they're into. And so I'm really excited about what we have coming up in the summer and in the fall. And so again, you can find me on mirroredvisioncoaching.com as well as Instagram and Facebook on those same names.
Awesome.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an honor
having me.
Yes, definitely send us the information about the tea party.
Yes,
absolutely.
And what did you call it again?
The name is still in the works, but it's a sensual high tea at night.
Ooh, that sounds so exciting. Yes, thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Renew your connection and your love in beautiful Costa Rica. We'll make sure it happens. Vacation Counseling provides intimate couples retreats, including one-on-one counseling, yoga, and nature outings to help you and your partner rekindle the passion. Our experienced team of counselors works with one couple at a time to improve intimacy, communication, and more. Enroll now at vacationcounseling.com.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Wow, that was so insightful.
Yeah, very informative. I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people who may not feel comfortable otherwise even asking that will be able to appreciate this segment alone to feel more open to kind of exploring and looking further into kind of that curiosity or kinky side.
Yes. And I thank her so much for giving us some of those resources and websites where people can go and explore kink. And yes, and I love hearing about her tea party. Yes.
Absolutely. And before I forget, another place that you can look that we don't really think about as a huge resource is right here on Facebook. So if you're watching us on Facebook, that's somewhere you can search different groups that you can join. But like Jacqueline, Coach Jackie said, you want to be careful and play everything safely.
Definitely. Yes. So who do we have coming up?
Yes, so we have some great shows coming up in the coming weeks. So on May 5th, we have Why Sex Dies in Long-Term Relationships with Irene Fair. She's a certified sex and intimacy coach that helps couples make love and sex work in long-term relationships. On May the 12th, we have Mandy Nuttall, who will be discussing birds, bees, and sex ed. On May 19th, we will meet Rayford Palmer. He is a divorce lawyer to discuss is divorce the answer? That's going to be a really good one, guys. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. And then on May the 26th, we have Vinny Pastivio, and I probably messed that up. I'll have it right the next go round, who discusses creativity in the bedroom. And we're not talking about finger paints. So remember, if you're watching us on any platform, to subscribe to us, like us, share us, tag people in the comments who you feel like could benefit from these conversations. They're so necessary. I love it. I love everything about today. And all of us, really.
Yes. Well, this has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show. We will see you next week. And in between now and next week, go and get your kink on.
Yes.
We will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back. We hope you enjoyed it. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. Dr. April Brown's 5-book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon, available in Kindle, Audible, or paperback. We'll see you next Thursday live at 3:30 p.m.